What's up guys, it's Star Wars Sauce, and today I wanted to talk about something I find quite interesting. So I was reading the Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace novelization when I stumbled upon a really cool and intriguing fact about Anakin Skywalker as a kid. I just wanted to quickly share with you guys my thoughts on this cool fact. So as you guys know, pod racing is one of the most dangerous sports in the Star Wars universe. In fact, it is so hard that humans are not even able to compete in the sport because their reflexes are not quite quick enough compared to other species. Pod racing is actually so dangerous, it is pretty much illegal everywhere other than Tatooine, where the Hutts run the sport. Now, there is only one person from the human species that has the ability to compete in pod racing, and that is Anakin Skywalker. But how was Anakin Skywalker, especially as a kid, able to compete in such a dangerous sport? Well, the answer is in the novelization of Episode 1 The Phantom Menace. Let me read to you a couple of passages from the book which will explain all of this. Sitting in the pod with his hands on the controls, Anakin could feel the vibrations of the engine travel up the control cables and fill him with their music. Wrapped in his rough-made jumpsuit, his racing helmet, his goggles, and his gloves, he was wedged so closely in his seat that he could feel the rush of the wind across the pod skin beneath him. When he raced like this, he was never simply the driver of a pod racer, never just an additional part. Rather, he was at one with the whole and engine's pod, and he were bound together in a way he could not entirely explain. Each shimmy, each small throb, each tug and twist of strut and tie were apparent to him, and he could sense at any given moment exactly what was happening throughout the length and breadth of his racer. It spoke to him in its own language, a mix of sounds and feelings, and though it did not use words, he could understand everything it said. Sometimes, he thought dreamily, he could sense what it would say before it even spoke. Now, right over there, guys, is an example that Anakin Skywalker pretty much used the help of the Force whenever he would pod race, because the passage just stated that Anakin was able to sense what would happen before it even happened. Now, that is not just a coincidence, but that is the will of the Force. Another example we can see in another passage pretty much talks about how, pod racing is such a dangerous sport and no other human species can do it. But Anakin, while nothing like these other species, was so intuitive in his understanding of the skills required by his sport and so comfortable with its demands that his lack of these other attributes seemed to matter not at all. It was a source of some mystery to everyone. So even though Anakin wasn't trained in the Force or anything like that, we can see that he still had a connection with the Force. And I'm going to read to you another example, which we can see right here. So it says, last month in another race, the Willy Dug had tried to run Anakin into a cliff face. He had failed only because Anakin sensed him coming up from behind and underneath. An illegal razor saw extended to sever Anakin's right steel-tin control cable, and Anakin lifted away to safety before the saw could do its damage. So as you guys can see, Anakin Skywalker was able to escape pretty much death because he was able to sense somebody coming up from behind. Now, if that just can't be coincidence, as like the only possible explanation is that that was a Force, and he was kind of able to use the Force in a way before he even knew what the Force was, or before he was even trained in the Force, because this is before he met Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, this one example in particular of Anakin's connection to the Force kind of answers my question. So this pretty much takes place when Anakin enters a pretty much really dark cave. And yeah, so I'm going to read this passage. So it says, Anakin leveled out his pod, lifting slightly from the rock-strewn floor of the channel, letting his memory and his instincts take him down the winding cut. When he raced, everything around him slowed down rather than sped up. It was different than you'd expect. Rock, sand, and shadows flew past in a wild mix of patterns and shapes, and still he could see so clearly. All the details seemed to jump out at him, as if illuminated by exactly what would make them so difficult to distinguish. He could almost close his eyes and drive, he thought. He was that much in tune with everything around him, that much aware of where he was. Now guys, that is literally a clear example of Anakin's connection to the Force. He talks about how even though everything around him is dark, he is able to see everything illuminated in clear detail, as if the more dark it is, the more illuminated it is to him, which is just a prime example of his connection with the Force. But yeah guys, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this video. I know it was kind of a random topic, but I thought it was kind of cool and intriguing, so please let me know what you guys thought about this kind of topic in the comments down below. I'm really excited to see what you guys have to say about this. But yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna head out. So anyways guys, have a great day, may the force be with you, and peace out, bye.